Look, it's been my very great pleasure to be involved with the new textbook series, Cambridge Humanities for Victoria, for which I've written 3 chapters. As lead author, I also had the enormous pleasure of reviewing wonderful chapters by fellow authors. As an author, I draw great energy and also inspiration from the prospect that a chapter can just absolutely intrigue and engage young minds. And if it makes life easier for teachers, most of us are desperately time poor, so much the better. Writing a chapter for the classroom can be compared with stuffing a Christmas stocking with goodies. You take delight in finding more and more good things and in imagining how they're going to go across in the classroom. 2 of my chapters, one was Industrial Revolution, the other World War One. Wonderful topics, both of them, but ones that have been intensely covered in so many books. And there is a tendency to cover the same classic aspects of each. I felt that my task was to make sure that I did cover the canonical material, but also to enliven it by seeking out new sources and fresh, unusual viewpoints. So the chapter on Industrial Revolution was quite a joy to write, but I realised that I needed to go beyond the obvious things of great inventors and great inventions, the typical nuts and bolts focus. I felt that for students who are living in what is called the Fourth Industrial Revolution, it would be almost impossible to imagine the massive changes from an earlier agrarian life to the new life made possible when the steam engine made factory production and railway locomotion a possibility. It's so easy to give technical information about the inventions, but so much more difficult to cultivate empathy about their effects on human life and experience. I do make intensive use of images in the chapters. This painting by John Lucas is much more than the usual group portrait. It's a portrait of a remarkable generation of inventors who made breathtaking leaps in technology, such as the Great Britannia Bridge behind them. To get students thinking more deeply, I set a few themes. Was the Industrial Revolution really as bad as 19th century reformers would have us believe? What were the experiences of women during this era of change? And for us, what are the end implications of the Industrial Revolution in our own era of global climate change? So I come to the question, was the Industrial Revolution really as bad as it was made out to be? And of course, that is the cutting edge of current historiography. I use some of the social conscience paintings, such as this one by Luke Fields, to set up the problem of reliability of sources. The poverty shown here in the painting really did exist, and so too did the harsh working conditions in the factories. From this large body of visual sources, it is tempting to conclude that the Industrial Revolution was indeed one of dark satanic mills. But, for example, how did women experience the era of the Industrial Revolution? The visual records of the time are actually problematic because many paintings were done for the owners of the factories, such as the one shown here in the background at Wigan by the painter Eyre Crowe. The painter only shows us the women taking a lunch break. There's no information about the working conditions in the factory behind them, least of all the crushing long shifts. But recent research by Emma Griffin, for example, has suggested that many people and many women did benefit from a solid wage during the Industrial Revolution as compared with what they could earn in previous generations in village life. It's also important, I think, to write women's actions and agency into our chapters. This chapter pays tribute to Annie Basant, the great feminist who took on the Bryant and May matchstick factory. She defended the so-called matchstick girls who were handing phosphorus for the matches, which got into their system and ate away their face so that when they chewed food, it fell out the side of their face.